Hi all, I'm Dr. Bhargavi and I am designated as an associate professor in Department of Management Studies in Bharat University. So in the last class we saw about different concepts of OB. We saw about the meaning of organization, then the features of an organization, then what is behavior, then what is organizational behavior, its definition, and we proceeded with the nature of OB and the scope of OB, the importance, why is OB needed in today's scenario, the importance of OB we discussed, and we went ahead with the process of OB and we concluded with the role of managers in a organizational setup. So in today's class we'll be seeing about what are the disciplines that is going to contribute to organizational behavior. So let us start with the different disciplines that is going to contribute to organizational behavior. The first discipline is going to be psychology. How is psychology related to OB? Do you have any idea? So psychology is going to be a study of science that is going to involve the understanding of behaviors exhibited by individuals. So it is going to help us to understand the perception of individuals. It is going to help us to understand the attitudes, the motivation level of people, their personality traits, their work mindsets. So all these concepts are covered under psychology. So psychology is going to be one prime field that is going to influence OB. Then the second one is anthropology. Do you have any idea what anthropology means? Anthro means mankind, man, human. So anthropology is going to be a study of different human experiences faced by individuals from time to time. So it is going to be the study of differences in values, differences in attitudes, differences in behavior of people belonging to different countries or different cultures. So anthropology, since it is a study of man and his experiences, it is going to be involved in contributing to organizational behavior. Then the third field that is going to contribute to organizational behavior is sociology. What does sociology imply or what does it infer? Socio means it is going to describe the cohesiveness, it is going to describe the bonding of people in a different setup. So this subject is going to influence various fields of organizational behavior. It concerns with the study of social systems. So it is going to analyze the social roles played by individuals in their family or in their organizations or in their groups. So it is going to be the principles that are applied in the organization with respect to social concepts. So the bonding, the cohesion is going to play a major role. The next concept that is going to influence OB is political science. What do you mean by politics? We know that there are different politics being played by different people. So if you see in a nutshell, a country has different kinds of politics. So when each country has different kind of politics, then think about the organizations, how or what is the extent to which politics is played in organizations. So the concepts of politics in an organizational setup can involve the sources of power, the level of authority held in an individual's hands. So it will influence the organization to a very great extent. So no organization can be free from politics, be it a very small one which has only 50 to 60 employees, or be it a big one like Accenture or like HCL which has numerous employees in their employee role. So no organization can be free from politics. So politics or political science is going to play a important role in contributing to organizational behavior. Then the next field that is going to influence OB is social psychology. So what does social psychology mean? We know that socio means bonding. Yes, we know that psychology means study of behavior. So social psychology is going to deal with interpersonal concepts. So it is going to deal with interpersonal behavior. So it is going to study about how individuals are aligned inside an organization, and it is going to study the effect of how individuals take part in the decision making processes of an organization. So the bonding present between the individuals, the group cohesion, the group decisions, and how far or how effectively a group is able to proceed inside the organizational activities can be studied under social psychology. Then industrial psychology. What does industrial psychology mean? It is going to help us to understand the human behavior in a industrial setup. So it is going to study the effect of human behavior, and it is going to be based on individual emotions and the individual's perception, his morals and ethics. So how these individual concepts play a vital role in the effective working of industries is going to be studied under industrial psychology. Then the last concept is economics. What does economics mean? We know that economics is something related to the monetary conditions or the fiscal conditions of country. So economics is going to deal with demand, it is going to deal with supply, it is going to deal with the pricing, it is going to deal with the income flow, the inflations of market, the market structures. So all these concepts are going to contribute to economics. So how does economics play a role in organizational behavior, or how is it connected in OB? If we see from an organizational setup, economics will involve the demand of labor, the supply of labor, then the cost benefit analysis. We know what cost benefit analysis means. So when an organization is going to recruit an individual inside the company, then it has to decide what will be the remuneration paid to the employee. So the remuneration is the cost which the company has to incur on each employee. So then not only the remuneration cost, but also the training, the amount spent for training the individual to get customized to the organizational setup will also come under cost benefit analysis. So these are different concepts of economics that is related to OB. So these are the different disciplines that are contributing to the study of organizational behavior. The next slide talks about the framework of organizational behavior. So what are the different theories that is going to contribute to the development of OB is seen here. So the three basic theories that is going to contribute as a foundation of OB is described here. The first one is classical approach. So classical approach is going to have scientific management theories, it is going to have administrative management theories, it is going to have bureaucratic theories, and the second one is neoclassical approach, which is going to consist of human relations approach, it is going to consist of systems approach, and it is going to consist of human behavior approach. Then the last theory is modern approach. So under modern approach you again have two constituents. The first one is democratic approach and the second one is contingency approach. So we'll move on to the next slide, which will elaborate what is classical approach. So classical approach is going to be the traditional concept or the traditionally accepted theories of OB. So it would have been long established before centuries, and it had these implications. Classical approach had interrelated management functions, and it had a strong rules and regulations to be followed. So there were guiding principles involved, and it had specified that organization structure should be very rigid. It said that financial incentives are required for motivating individuals in the organization. So classical approach has again three theories we saw in the earlier slide. It is going to involve of scientific management. So what is scientific management? We know that Frederick Taylor, he stressed on, or he developed this scientific management approach. So he stressed on employees' productivity. He felt that the individual's productivity should be improved inside the organization. So he stated that the management and the workers should go hand in hand, and they should work as partners to achieve the goal in a common manner. So he introduced this concept called as differential piece rate system. So this system, through the system, he said that individuals or employees should be offered compensation based on their level of outputs produced. So he said that if an employee is going to produce high number of outputs, then he deserves to be paid better. So this was the differential piece rate system propounded by Taylor. So we know that Taylor has also published a book called The Principles of Scientific Management, where he gives four main principles. He says that science is not a rule of thumb, and he says harmony not a discord. The third principle which he propounded was about cooperation, which specifies that individualistic concepts should be eliminated. And the last principle which Taylor propounded was the development of each and every person should be according to his or her efficiency and prosperity. So these are the four principles given or advised by F.W. Taylor on scientific management. Then the second theory that gave or that evolved over a period of time under the classical approach is administrative management. So we know that administrative management is going to be concerned with how an organization has to be administered by a group of people. So Henry Fayol propounded 14 principles for effective administration of organization. So he said that administrative management theory is going to be concerned with the design of a formal structure inside the organization, the design of formal hierarchies present inside the organization. So Fayol propounded 14 principles through which a management interacts with the employee. So he said that these 14 principles can be division of work or balancing of authority and responsibility, then discipline of employees, then unity of command, unity of direction, then subordination of individuals' interest to the general interest of the organization, remuneration, centralization, scalar chains, order, equity. So all these were the principles that was advised by Henry Fayol for effective administration inside the organization. Then the last approach is bureaucratic approach. What does bureaucratic approach mean? Bureaucratic or bureaucracy means that there is going to be strict guidelines followed by people inside the organization. So there is going to be a layout of rules and regulations, and organization will be a pyramidal structure that has commands in different levels. So that's called as bureaucracy. So bureaucratic approach is going to involve the high degree of authority. It is going to involve strict commands given by the higher authorities to the lower people, and it is going to propound on rigid controls. The supervision given by the top level management over the lower level management is going to be high. So these are the three approaches that is going to contribute to the classical theory or the classical approach of OB. The next slide talks about neoclassical approach. So the first approach we saw was classical approach, and the second one we are seeing now is neoclassical approach. So what does neoclassical approach mean? It is going to be a combination of the classical approach and the concepts that evolved over a period of time. So it emphasized on socio-psychological aspects. So neoclassical approach alleged that a social environment is going to influence the productivity of an employee. So if the environment present inside the organization is going to be very good, if the employees are provided good working conditions, then they will be able to perform better. Then the neoclassical approach also told that each individual has a different level of motivation. So each one has a different level, and each one strives to fulfill their own desires and needs. Then neoclassical approach said that a man is not always rational. So rational thinking does not apply at all times. So he also behaves irrationally towards different situations for seeking rewards and incentives. Then the last point here states that teamwork is essential for work harmony. Neoclassical approach, we know that it stressed on the social environment of an organization. So this approach said that when people work in teams, they are able to perform better. So they are able to give a higher level of productivity when there is a strong group cohesion between members present in a team. So neoclassical approach had these tenets, and it consisted of three approaches. The first one is human relations approach. So human relations approach evolved from Hawthorne experiments. We all know about Hawthorne experiments, don't we? Hawthorne experiments consisted of four major experiments that was conducted by Elton Mayo and his team. So these four experiments are the illumination experiments, then the relay assembly experiments, then the mass interviewing experiments, and the bank wiring observation room experiment. Now, Hawthorne experiments emphasized that employees have social and psychological needs. So each employee is going to act according to his psychological need, and this is going to influence his level of productivity. So human relations approach stressed on participative style of management, where it alleged that employees have to be given a role in the decision making process of an organization. The participation from the lower level employees should also be arising in the decision making process. So we saw about these four Hawthorne experiments. We named them. This illumination experiment was conducted to determine the effect of changes in illumination on productivity. So organizational setup was made, and Elton Mayo conducted this experiment with a group of employees to see if there is going to be any changes in their productivity level when the lighting is changed. So if there is going to be a dim lighting, how the employees behave, or if there is going to be a very bright setup, then how do employees perform at their work. So these illumination experiments were the first experiments that took place in Hawthorne experiment. Then the second experiment under Hawthorne experiment series were the relay assembly experiment. So what is a relay assembly experiment? This experiment was conducted to examine the effect of changes in working hours and working conditions. So if the employees were given a good or a flexible working hour system, then did they perform better? Or if the employee is given a good work environment, then was he able to perform better? So all these concepts were tested based on the employees, and the outcome of this experiment was related to the productivity level, whether it increased or decreased in employees. Then the third Hawthorne experiment that was conducted is about mass interviewing program. What does mass interviewing program mean? This program conducted worldwide interviews to determine the workers' attitudes, their sentiments, their behaviors, how do they react to different situations. So all these concepts were analyzed in the mass interviewing program. Then the last experiment that took place under Hawthorne was the determination and analysis of social organization at work. We know that an organization consists of formal groups and informal groups. So this bank wiring observation experiments was conducted. The last experiment was conducted to determine and analyze the social aspects of employees. So these were the four major Hawthorne experiments that took place under Elton Mayo's study, and he revealed that each employee has social and psychological needs. The next slide talks about the systems approach. So we know that what is a system? System is going to be comprising of different interrelated elements. So when we see the organization as a system, it is going to consist of interrelated elements which is going to be dependent on one another. So systems approach had these elements and subsystems that is going to join together to form a complete system. So if the subsystem is going to perform efficiently inside one organization, then automatically the other systems also fall in place, and as a result the entire system is able to perform or function effectively. So this is going to require the development of employees through the application of OB. So systems approach was one of the approaches under neoclassical theory. Then the third one is human behavior approach. What does human behavior approach say? It says that behavior of employees is based on observations, the level of observing done by an employee at work. So this is explained by the stimulus response experiments. So human behavior approach views organization as a collective of people and collection of groups that is going to achieve the organizational objectives. So this approach can also be called as the behavioral science approach, and it is going to be based on stimulus response experiences. Inside an organization, if the employee is stimulated or if the employee is motivated to a higher extent, then he is able to perform better. He is able to complete the task. So that completion of the task can be the response. Or in layman's terms, if I'm going to tickle you, if I'm going to do something funny, then that is a stimulus I give to you, and you are giving me a response by laughing or getting annoyed. So the response comes from you and the stimulation comes from me. So stimulus and response experiences are analyzed in human behavior approach. So these are the three approaches under neoclassical theory. Then the third approach was modern approach. So what did modern approach state? It combined concepts of both classical and neoclassical models. So this modern approach, it emphasized on integration, the integrity of employees rather than merely talking about it. So it stated that the environmental factors are highly important to resolve the behavior of individuals. So this approach consisted of two types. The first one is democratic approach, where we know that democracy means freedom, or when you say it as an organizational context, then democratic approach will mean the dignity or the freedom given to employees in expressing their concerns and voice. So this approach gives importance to labor concepts, and it stresses on the importance of employees' potential and his participation in decision making. Then the last model under modern approach is contingency approach. What is meant by contingency? We know that contingency means situational or situations. So contingencies are situations that the employees are going to face inside the organization from time to time. So there is not one best way to solve a problem or a situation which the employees face. So contingency approach is going to depend on situations and the problems that the employees face inside the organization. The next slide we see is about the emerging issues in organizational behavior. So we know that OB is a vast area or a vast field of study. Now, what are the emerging issues that come up in the study of organizational behavior is seen in this slide. So the points say that changing employee expectations, globalization, the constant need for improving productivity, the changing demographics of workforce, all these are some of the issues that keep emerging in organizational behavior. So we know that the employees' expectations are always going to keep on rising. For example, I join an organization, let's say in a very lower level, as let us say that I join IT as a service provider as an analyst. Now, after getting recruited as an analyst, my expectation will be to grow inside the company. So I will expect promotions to take place. So I will expect salary hikes. I will expect rewards for my performance. I will expect incentives to happen. So the employee's expectation doesn't get stagnant over a period of time. It keeps on increasing. It keeps on improving over period of time. So employees' expectations, when they keep on increasing, the organizations will not be able to find a solution for that. So this is one of the issues that emerge in organizational behavior. Then globalization. We know that globalization is one of the trends that is constantly happening throughout the place. Now, what is globalization? We know that the ITs or IT companies who originate here in India, or the service providers for certain companies in US or UK or Ireland. So the back-end operations or the back-end resources are provided by companies which are situated here. So globalization of work is done. So this is one of the emerging issue in organizational behavior. Then the third point says the constant need for improving productivity. Now this is similar to the first point we saw. The first point we saw was about the employees' expectations. So how the employees keep on increasing their expectations and how organizations find it difficult to match the employees' expectations was seen in the first point. Now similarly, this third point is the vice versa, where the organizations are finding it difficult to match with the employees' expectations, and the employees again in turn are finding it difficult to match the employer's perception or employers production levels. So the organization, the top level management, they feel that the employees need to give a very high level of productivity. They feel that the employees have to keep on improving their productivity right from the scratch to the top. So when these increased outputs are expected from the employees, then they find it difficult to match the company's expectations. So this is one of the emerging issues in OB. Then the last point is about changing workforce demographics. What does changing a workforce demographic mean? It means that a company will have different people from different backgrounds. So I may be Indian, you may be an American, the third person may be from UK or Ireland. So different people from different backgrounds contribute to the working of a organization. So when these kind of different people with different backgrounds, different experiences, different qualification come together to work in a group, then the organization has to devise strategies accordingly for managing people from different backgrounds. So these are the emerging issues that happen in the study of organizational behavior. So with this, we come to the end of Unit 1, and we will start with Unit 2. So what are the different concepts that we saw in Unit 1? We saw about organization, we saw about the features of an organization, then we saw the meaning of behavior, and we saw the overall meaning of organizational behavior, and we saw about the nature of OB along with its scope. Then we saw the importance, why is OB required inside the organization. Then we saw about process of OB, we saw the role of managers, we saw 3 different roles played by managers inside the organization. We saw the interpersonal roles, we saw the informational roles, we saw the decisional roles played by managers. Then we saw the disciplines contributing to the study of OB, and we saw the organizational behaviors framework, the foundation of OB, which is comprised by 3 theories: the classical, the neoclassical, and the modern approach. So classical approach consisted of scientific management, administrative management, and bureaucratic management. Then the second neoclassical model consisted of human relations approach, systems approach, and human behavior approach. The modern approach consisted of democratic approach and contingency approach. So we ended the Unit 1 with emerging issues in OB, which talked about the changing employees' expectations, globalization, the constant level for high productivity from employees, then the changing demographics of the workforce. So these are the emerging issues in OB. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. Hope you all are doing good. Stay safe. Take care. Bye.